The U.S. recently faced the most devastating wildfire in over a century in Hawaii. Who's to blame? At least the Biden administration couldn't have done a better job of completely botching it. Welcome to America Uncovered. I'm Chris Chappell. Earlier this month, the U.S. saw its deadliest wildfire in more than a century. The Maui, Hawaii wildfire spread like wildfire, thanks in part to winds from Hurricane Dora and highly flammable non-native grass. As a result, over 110 people have died that we know of so far. Search and rescue is still underway, and hundreds more have gone missing. One reason it was so deadly? The fire apparently thought it was auditioning for the next Fast and Furious movie.
Bands of flames and smoke that spread horrifically fast, arriving without warning, giving people little or no time to evacuate. Those are the consistent, terrifying accounts of victims and witnesses on Maui.
But some also blame human error.
Hawaii emergency officials have said sirens on the island weren't activated during the fire, though other alerts by phone and broadcast were.
Apparently that was intentional. Maui's emergency chief chose not to activate the emergency sirens. Did he not think a raging fire was an emergency? If he saw an alien invasion, would he just go, "Calm down. Getting disintegrated isn't a big deal"? The phone and broadcast warnings often didn't get through due to power and cellular outages. But later, he said that he didn't regret his decision.
Do you regret not sounding the sirens?
I do not. The sirens, as I mentioned earlier, is used primarily for tsunamis. Had we sounded the siren that night, we're afraid that people would have gone Mauka. And if that was the case, then they would have gone into the fire.
Now, to be fair, it does make sense that panicking people might hear a tsunami alarm, flee towards a fire they couldn't see yet, and get stuck. But with all the outages, many residents ended up with no warning at all and had to flee through the fire. Unsurprisingly, after defending his decision, Maui's emergency chief resigned, citing health reasons. To make matters worse, Maui residents say utility trucks with new telephone poles blocked the roads as people tried to flee. Many were forced to flee on foot, take boats, or jump into the Pacific Ocean to escape. Thousands are now without homes. Some have had problems getting aid from the Federal Emergency Management Agency because their government IDs were burned. And others have fallen for scams that told them to stay away from aid, including one post that said receiving aid included giving up property rights. But don't worry, U.S. President Joe Biden came to the rescue. I said, U.S. President Joe Biden came to the rescue. "Hey Joe, wake up, you've got some presidenting to do." He eventually responded, and when he did, he botched the whole thing. I'll tell you more after the break. Welcome back. You'd think the President of the United States would take the lead in addressing devastating events like the Maui wildfires for the American people, but it took a long time for Biden to even comment at length on the catastrophe. He brushed off questions about the Maui fire while he was on vacation in Delaware multiple times, saying, "No comment," or "We're looking at it." And look, I get it. There's nowhere on earth I'd rather vacation than Delaware, but maybe take a 5-minute break to say something meaningful? When asked about Biden's silence on the Maui fires, White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre said this is something that the president takes very seriously. You can tell, this is his formal bathing suit. He only wears this one in times of mourning. To Biden's credit, the administration approved $8.2 million in assistance to more than 2,700 households. But when Biden said that his administration was offering a one-time $700 payment per household, many slammed his one-time checks as a slap in the face. And insulting, since $700 really isn't that much to support entire families for very long, especially in a place as expensive as Hawaii. If you've ever vacationed in Hawaii, you know $700 there lasts about as long as a kid enjoys a toy you got them as a souvenir while on vacation. If that vacation was in Hawaii, that toy probably cost $700. Critics have also made a lot of unfavorable comparisons between the aid going to Maui and the $100+ billion in aid that has gone to Ukraine. Biden finally visited Hawaii 2 weeks after the fire started. But let's just say the residents weren't happy. They had strong "Let's Go Brandon" vibes. Man, the "Let Go Brandon" thing is like the Maui wildfires. Just when you think it's dying down, it reignites and begins spreading all over again. This is understandable, especially when Biden tried to make a lame joke about the hot ground in Maui. In another instance of Biden putting his foot in his mouth, he told Maui wildfire survivors that he can relate, citing a small fire he had in his kitchen in 2004.
I don't want to compare difficulties, but we have a little sense, Jill and I, what it's like to lose a home. To make a long story short, I almost lost my wife, my 67 Corvette, and my cat.
I don't want to compare difficulties, but let's do it anyway. This is like finding out someone's entire family was eaten by sharks and saying, I can relate. I once had a tummy ache after eating too much sushi. This really ticked people off, especially when he massively hyped up the 2004 fire incident in his home, saying, we almost lost a couple of firefighters. The fire, according to the fire department, was actually insignificant. Even the New York Times admits that Biden tends to act as storyteller-in-chief by spinning stories to sell certain narratives. Remember how the media demolished Bush for his Hurricane Katrina response? Seems this president gets a very different treatment. Many Democrats aren't happy with Biden's comments. In a now deleted tweet, a former Democratic Hawaii state representative said, I campaign for you. Now, when I lose dozens of my friends, family, and neighbors, this? To all the Democrats suddenly disappointed in Biden, all I have to say is, first time? Other Hawaii Democrats were disappointed in Biden as well, with one saying that she would not vote for him again and would instead vote for Trump. Which is rough since Biden's entire campaign in 2020 was, hey, I'm not Trump. It's hard to say which is worse, Biden keeping his mouth shut or Biden not keeping his mouth shut. No, what's worse is him not keeping his nostrils shut around little girls. Come on, man, now's not the time. But Maui County and the Biden administration weren't the only ones who messed up. I'll tell you why climate change might be the real culprit after the break. Welcome back. So how did this happen? How did the fire start? Well, there's a theory going around that the U.S. government used lasers to start the Maui wildfires on purpose.
This was a direct energy weapon assault on the people. And I say that because my friend in Hawaii, which I'm going to show this picture here, showed a laser beam coming out of the sky directly targeting the city.
Wow, and here I thought I was just joking about an alien invasion. However, the pictures circulating around the internet are all completely unrelated to the Maui fires. And they don't show lasers. Some of them are pictures of fires elsewhere with lens flares. While one of them is a time-lapse photo of a SpaceX rocket launch. Also running around the internet is the idea that the Maui wildfires were intentionally set as a land grab for elites like BlackRock, Jeff Bezos, and Oprah Winfrey. Oprah? I thought she gave away cars, not destroyed them. You lose a car, you lose a car, and you lose a car. There's no evidence of that, but some residents have received land offers, probably because land developers are looking at Hawaii like this right now. Many in the mainstream media are quick to say that climate change is responsible, which may or may not be true, but there's a more direct cause that's making people angry. The most likely culprit is power lines, specifically the ones connected to Hawaiian Electric Company. So utility companies potentially started the fire and blocked the escape routes? Congrats, I didn't think anyone in the story could top Joe Biden's level of incompetence and negligence, but you proved me wrong. Security camera footage dating back to August 7th spotted what appears to be an electrical explosion called an arc flash.
It's windy and then there's a flash. And I think that's when a tree's falling on a power line. The power goes out, our generator kicks in, the camera comes back online, and then the forest is on fire.
Hawaiian Electric Company is now facing a crisis. Stocks are plummeting, lawsuits are mounting, and the chances of going bankrupt are rising. How did Hawaiian Electric get into this situation? Poor planning. Hawaiian Electric Company faces a lot of scrutiny for not cutting power to reduce fire risks, especially when it was warned days before that powerful wind gusts would create dangerous fire conditions. The problem is it couldn't. It didn't develop a system that could depower select lines. This was despite the fact that it was warned years ago about high wildfire risk, especially in 2019, Maui's year of fire. Hawaiian Electric Company knew it needed to do far more to prevent fires, yet, according to the Wall Street Journal, documents and interviews show that it waited years to act. Waiting too long to act. I'm noticing a theme in this story. Hawaiian Electric said it hired a consultant in 2019 to help, and that it took until the summer of 2022 to craft a plan. Why did it take so long? Was the consultant from California? Well, it all comes down to a priority problem. For example, a 2020 management audit of the company found that its enterprise risk analysis was largely focused on financial risk with limited consideration of operational and business risk. Wow, who could have predicted that people would put profits over safety? But the company wasn't just prioritizing profits, it was prioritizing climate change. Hawaiian Electric Company was focused on a 2015 mandate to make 100% of Hawaii's electricity come from renewable energy by 2045, the first of its kind in the U.S. Hawaiian Electric Company wouldn't be the first to prioritize renewable energy goals at the expense of safety. California energy company PG&E has also been accused of ignoring fire risks in favor of green energy. The problem is, it's just a lot sexier to promote renewable energy than to promote safety. But now people in Maui have paid the price for it. Just like people in California did when protecting the environment led to insane decisions that helped spark massive wildfires. Check out that video. And like the Biden administration, YouTube gives America Uncovered only crumbs of cash when we need a lot more to survive, which is why we need support from viewers like you making voluntary contributions on patreon.com/America Uncovered. Just click that orange button to get the America Uncovered goods. Once again, I'm Chris Chappell. Thanks for watching America Uncovered.